Okay, welcome scholars to the Transcendence Path Learning Final Revision Boot Camp. Let's address the reality of where we are right now. So you have spent months covering topics, different topics on lexis and structure. So now it's time for us to revise all these topics. So today we will shift our focus entirely. We are no longer just memorizing data, we are training your brain to recognize underlying syntactic patterns under intense exam pressure. So the objective of today's lesson is active word knowledge retrieval, systematically recall and consolidate all major core grammar models like concord, structures, and lexis pattern tested in advanced entry examination. Like the foundation first, we want to build each rule from scratch before demonstrating complex applications. People that were able to catch up all our lessons or people that have not watched videos on the lessons that we have taken before, some topics mixed. Yeah, this is an opportunity for them to catch up
No,
the missed lesson.
clearly. Yeah, clearly.
Please kindly mute yourself.
Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀
You're
títẹ̀
distracting
yìí
us. Okay, the second goal is to achieve is to transform standard schoolrooms rules into high-stake elimination tools tailored to the tricky elite sentence construction rules used by Ife and Unilag bots. Yeah, you want to eliminate all the wrong answers and simply choose the correct answer. No guesswork here, match grammatical clues to strict syntax constraints instantly. So it's always important that you should be able to identify the question type that you are presented with, and you should be able to answer them correctly without any guesswork or any memorized answer or questions. Because some students are always dependent on expos. I've come across a student that got expo from, I don't know, from either one, and when the student was to choose the answer, the expo was not in line with the question, but based on she trusted the person that gave her, she picked the wrong answer. So that's what we want to avoid here. Whenever you are presented with question, you should be able to know that you should be able to confidently answer them correctly. Pacing and elimination, equip yourself to systematically dismiss distractors. Sometimes you're always presented with some distractors in the questions. So you should be able to dismiss distraction within 10 seconds of analysis using our structured five-step execution flow chart. That's what we want to do today. So the target speed, complete 30 complex English questions in under 15 minutes. Yeah, for you to have a very good skill in answering English post effectively and accurately, yeah, it's always important that you have a very good time management skills. That's what would help you to be successful in this exam. Please always pay attention to the time. And when you are doing that, I'm not saying that because you are time conscious, you should go for the wrong answers. No. So that's why it's imperative you go over the lessons we've taken and also pay attention to this lesson because this is where we are going to be revising all the topics that we've treated. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to business. So now, professional test takers do not read the sentence, pick what sounds correct, and click next. No, they use a standardized algorithm to guarantee correct structural syntax. Follow the flowchart. Yeah, some students they just want to read and they want to choose the one that sounds right to their daily conversation English, but it doesn't work like that. Post-UTME wants to track you, the examiner want to track you. Sometimes correct English don't sound right. Yeah, but you are professional. You want to have a better command. You want to command the English, not that the English will command you. So let's look at the strategies at which you can use to answer all the question type that you are presented with. Okay, first is for you to identify the topic. Yeah, it's always important you identify the topic. Look at the blank space and the options. Is this a concord, tense, preposition, or vocab problem? So you want to be sure of the question type that you are presented with. The second is to locate clues. Find the exact trigger words each, e.g., whenever you have since depicts something. Yeah, since is always used whenever you want to have a question type like tenses. That's the present perfect. So you want to look at the trigger words there, each, no, as well as. So that commands strict syntax constraints. Activate structural templates stored in your mind, e.g., singular subjects with parenthetical expression take singular verbs. So you want to activate the structural templates. That is the rule that we have already discussed in our previous lessons. Eliminate two. Immediately dismiss the two distractions options because I'm very sure that you can confidently dismiss the two distraction options designed to catch lazy readers who trust their ears. Deploy best fit. Execute the choice that satisfy both grammatical precision and semantic style constraints. Critical warning. Relying on what sounds right in your native dialect is the reason why bright candidates score under 50% in post-UTME. It doesn't work that way. This is not a common entrance exam. This is a professional exam to University of Lagos. Please eliminate, don't look at what sounds right. Look at what is grammatically correct. So this examiner deliberately exploits colloquial traps. They don't want it to seem easy for you. But if you can follow all the rules that we have discussed in all our subsequent lessons, I believe that you should be able to answer them correctly without any guesswork. Okay, let's look at the lexis and structure roadmap. Section A, structural syntax. So topics in these questions are related to what tenses, concord, sentence completions, direct and indirect. Tenses like the primary core skilled assess, they want to check aspect coordination, timeline shift, auxiliary usage. So the way you use your auxiliary verb, they want to check that. The second one is concord, that's syntactic proximity, parentheses, exception matching. So those are the skills that the examiners want to access in that area. Sentence completion, they want to check your semantic cohesion, punctuation modifiers. For direct and indirect, tense regression, datic shift here to there. The five is idiom, non-literal semantic contextual words register. The examiner wants to check your skill on that. Six, phrasal verb, semantic shifting with particle attachments. Synonyms and antonyms, they want to check your context-driven selection, register variation, preposition, fixed prepositional verbs, structural collocations. So all that, those are the skills that they want to check in this segment. So we are going to briefly revise some of the skills in these sections. Okay, to begin now, let's start with tenses. The aspects and timeline. If you can hear me, simply click I can hear you on the chat box or simply type I can hear you in the chat box. Okay, good, good. So to begin, I noticed some students still struggle with tense, especially those that were not in the class when we did this topic. So this is an
Through my charger.
opportunity, an avenue for you to catch up all the lesson missed
Which one do?
on that. So tense it's not just about past, present, or future.
Take the charger, the full thing, the head.
Okay, good, Victoria. Thank you. Sense is not just about past, present, or future. It dictates the status of completion. That's the aspect. In advanced tests, you must coordinate timelines across across compound sentences. So you want to pay attention to the timeline. It's not just about, whenever some students sees question types like tenses, they're just focusing on the past, present, or future. So it's not just about that. You want to check the timeline. You want to be accurate about the information presented to you. Okay, so let's look at some aspects to pay attention to in tense. Present perfect. Present perfect is something that happened in the past, but you can still see the result in the present. So the formula for that structure is as, have plus the verb tree. Verb tree is the participle. That's the past participle. For example, you have eat, ate, eaten. The verb tree for eat is what eaten. I hope you understand that. So action completed at unspecified past time with present relevance. So whenever we have an action that is completed at unspecified time past, but you can still see the reflection or the relevance in present. So use the present perfect for that. As you all know, I don't want to start with present simple. Those are the basic tense. Present simple is something that is an habitual situation, something you do every day. You're like your daily routine. You use the present simple for that. That's the present simple tense. We have past, something that has already happened. That's in the past. Like yesterday, I ate yam. So that's the past tense. In the morning, I ate noodles before preparing for the lesson. So that's the past tense. Now we are talking about the one that is more tricky, which is the present perfect. Present perfect is something that happened in the past, but you can still see the consequence in present. For example, the structure is what as have. For example, I have eaten my breakfast. So it happened in the past that you can still see the in it in the present. So you have to um as will go with singular what subject. For example, she has, he has, it has, they have, I have, you have. That's with the plural. We have. So action completed an unspecified past time with present relevance. That's what present perfect is. Past perfect, add plus what verb three. This one is a bit trickier. In this case now, you have two past events. One had happened before the other. The one that happened before the another past event is regarded as the present past perfect. So this is the one that many students find a bit confusing, but it is very easy if you can just have a framework at the back of your mind. Yeah, have a framework as if you have two past events, two things that have already happened in the past. The one that happened before, that is the one that you will use add for. Action completed before another past event. So that's what the past perfect. Another one is the present perfect continuous have as have plus been plus VING. Action began in the past continues right before the current moment. So let's look at the sequence of the tense rules now. If the main clause of a sentence contains a past tense verb, subordinate clause must typically transition in a past tense variant as well. That's the rule. If the main clause sentence contains a a past tense verb, the subordinate what clause must typically transition into what a past tense variant as well. Some of you might be looking at what's the main clause, where's the subordinate clause? Yeah, this one has to do with what sentence structure. We have the simple sentence, we have the compound sentence, and we have the complex sentence. So for you to make a complex sentence, you have to have an independent clause and a dependent clause. The dependent clause is the one that carries the word subordinate conjunction, which is regarded to what a subordinate what clause. For example, whenever you have, okay, look at this. When I arrived, they had finished dinner. When I arrived is the main clause there. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, is the subordinate clause. They had what? Finished dinner. So this must go in line. When I arrived, this is a past event. When I arrived, this action, an action had already what? Been completed. So in this case now, you know that you are presented with what? You are presented with a past participle. So it's always important that you pay attention to how the action happened. That is the timeline. That is how you can master this skill. Don't just look at it that, oh, this is past. No, don't just memorize. Always have a framework at the a framework at the back of your head to answer it. This thing is a bit technical. It's just like maths. In maths, you're going to master the formula and you want to apply it. Same here. Always have a framework. Don't rely on anything that sounds right. Osutiemi don't always sound right. Yeah. So when I arrived, they have they had finished coming. The right answer can no, I didn't say the right answer can be wrong answer. I'm just saying that, sometimes some students always rely on, oh, this English doesn't really sound right. That means it's wrong. So I said that that's a trap for you. Sometimes correct English does not sound right to hearing, but you applying the rules that you are being taught with, yeah, that's what will make you successfully answer it right. I hope you understand. I'm not saying that sometimes correct answers can be incorrect. No, no, no. That is different from what I'm saying. I'm just trying to tell you that you should master all the rules that has been taught to you by me and the other teacher or the other tutor. So that's how you can what? Pass this exam. Okay, look at this now. Timeline synchronization drill. When I arrived, they had finished the dinner. Okay, look at this. When I arrived. When I arrived, what? This is a subordinate clause. Because of this when is a what? Subordinate conjunction. So you know that this is a dependent. I can't just say when I arrived. This is a dependent what clause. It needs another clause for it to make sense to hearing. So when I just tell you that, okay, Deborah, when I arrived, you'll be like, when you arrived where? What happened when you arrived? So there should be another clause to make this sentence to have complete sense. So in that case now, you said when I arrived it was already past. So that means ultimately an action had happened before that. So that action is going to have what had before the what verb three. So which is what they had finished dinner versus okay, look at this. When I arrived, they were what eating dinner. So in this case now, when I arrived, they were eating dinner. Then that means there was an action in progress when I arrived. Before a past event, there was an action in progress. So that would be what present perfect continuous. So the first suggests dinner was 100% before the arrival. The second one suggests ongoing action in the past. So that will be past perfect continuous. Trigger, look for since, for, and indicators. Yeah, whenever you are presented with some question type like since, for, it usually go with what? Present perfect. Present perfect is required. If the timeline is anchored from the past to present moment. So that's why I said it's important you pay attention to what the timeline, please. Always look at the timeline. When did this thing happen? What are the trigger words that we are presented with? That way,
Ó dà pé no.
Okay, so let's move on. If you understand, kindly, if you have any issue, you can send it to me on the chat box. You know, this is a revision class, so we have a lot to cover. We don't want to dwell upon any topic in order to meet up with the time. Okay, tenses, advanced exam pattern. Okay, common pitfalls and traps. Unilag OAU frequently test since and for. Distinction mixed with what present timelines. Watch out for static verb. Yeah, sometimes, static verb are verbs that don't need what ing. They stay. So always watch out for that. At the end of this lesson, you can even go and Google static verb so that you can familiarize yourself with all these kinds of verbs. So watch out for static verb that cannot take ongoing aspect continuous suffixes. Like I have been knowing him. No, no, no. There's nothing like I have been knowing him. You can't have ing to know. No, it's a static verb. So he is owning the block since 2018. You can't use that. Owning what is what? A static verb, which is own. So it should be what? He has owned. He has owned this block. Yeah, in the subsequent lesson, I think when we treated since, I told you that since indicates what? The starting time of something, of an event. Why for is the duration. That's the difference between since and for, but they are mostly used together with what? Present perfect. So whenever you are using that, please don't say he is owning. You can't use that. Own is a static verb, so it doesn't need what ing to function in a sentence. Please always pay attention to that. OAU sometimes trap you. Distinguish between past subjective moods. I wish I knew. Hypothetical present was I wish I had known him. Past regret. So it's a different thing. If I knew, I need had known him. Okay, let's look at this question now. Choose the option that best complete the sentence. If you dash to my advice earlier, you would not be in the mess now. What's the correct answer? If you had listened, if you had listened to my advice, this is a conditional sentence. If you had listened to my advice, you would not be in the mess now. Yeah, I'm really impressed. Let me see your name. Oh, Vincent Yusuf, well done. Great job. Great job. Okay. So this is a third conditional sentence. The past hypothetical condition requires what? Past perfect. Whenever you have an hypothetical condition, it's always mostly used with past regrets. So whatever the result should be what? In past perfect, not in past. If you, yeah, you would not be in mess now if you had listened to my advice. Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is lexis and structure. The next topic, which is what Concord. Concord is also regarded as what subject and verb agreement. You in every sentence, yeah, in your writing or in your paragraph, you want to ensure that the sentence and the verb agrees accurately. Okay. So beyond simple, singular, and plural, subject verb concord states that a singular subject matches a singular verb and a plural subject matches a plural verb. However, examiner use complex insertions to trick your visual field. Okay, let's look at the first one. Whenever you have a parenthetical additions, for example, whenever you are presented with a clause that is add out of some distractors or addition. For example, when you have like as well as, together with, along with, ignore these additions and match the very first noun before them. For example, the teacher along with the entire board of the entire board of directors, the teacher along with the entire board of director, is it visit or visited the occasion, visits or visits the occasion. You want to look at the teacher, ignore that, as well as the board of directors. The teacher will what determine the verb that is suitable for that sentence. Please always pay attention with this. Regard as well as together with, along with, yeah, regard them as distractors. Ignore all these additions and pay attention to the subject that you are presented with. So that subject will definitely or ultimately will determine the verb. If the subject is singular, the verb will be singular. If the verb is plural, if the subject is plural, the verb will also be plural. Another one is correlation, either dash or, either or, either or neither nor. So match proximately, use the noun closest to the verb slot. Whenever you are presented with a question type like either or neither nor, the subject that is closest to what the verb will determine the verb. If a singular subject is the closest to the verb, it will determine what the verb. If a plural, it will be what plural form. So please always pay attention to that. Another one is indefinite what pronouns. Whenever you are presented with any question type or any sentence that has an indefinite pronouns, they are always regarded as singular. Always treat them as singular. Everyone, everybody, nobody, somebody, someone. They are singular. So they must take on what singular what verb. Please don't start. That's where it comes in. I said that something that's literally sound right. Some students will start analyzing. Everybody. Omi pe wọ́pọ̀ gan. Sorry that speaking Yoruba. I'm just trying to relate, to be relatable. Everybody only wọ́pọ̀ gan, and that should have a plural verb. Please let me shock you. No, they are all regarded as indefinite what pronouns. So they should take on singular what verb, not plural verb. Okay, let's look at some example. Collective nouns and mass clues. Oh, we're already running out of time. Possibly we are still going to have another lesson to catch up. Collective nouns, e.g., committee, board, jury, take a singular verb. Whenever you have collective nouns like committee, board, jury, always use what? Singular verb. When acting as one unified block. But a phrasal verb, when acting as a separate, yeah, when they are acting as one, use a singular. When they are acting as a separate arguing individuals, that's when you use the appropriate. Proximity concord rule. Neither the principal nor the teachers, I told you, the one that is closest to the word, the verb, will determine the verb form. For example, we have this, neither the principal nor the teachers were present. Neither the principals nor the subject that is the closest to the verb here is what? The teachers. So the teachers is what? Plural. That would be what? Plural verb, which is where, not was. Was is the singular. But where is plural? Is in past. So that's why it's having where. Rule check. The plural noun teachers is the closest to the verb slot, forcing a plural verb. If we flip it, neither the teachers nor the principal. Here, the principal is what? Singular. So that would what? Have a singular verb, which is in the past. So that's what? Principal. Exam rule. Each of the boys, as I told you, each is what? An indefinite pronoun. So that would what? Automatically take on what? A singular. You always use a singular for what? You always treat indefinite pronouns as what? Singular in sentences. So they should take on what? Singular verb. For example, each of the boys asks, everyone asks. Yeah. Please always pay attention to that. If you have any question, please do not hesitate. You can even chat me privately on WhatsApp. I'll be happy to answer them appropriately. Okay, let's look at another one. Exam pattern, syntactic trap. Examiner combines compound nouns, phrases with tricky preposition to make plural forms look singular and vice versa. Always extract the absolute syntactic subject. For example, okay, look at this. The teacher along with his security aides are arriving soon. Parenthetical what? Insertion. That is incorrect. You cannot say the teacher along with security aides are, yeah. So the teacher will be the one to what? Determine the subject. So you cannot use are. So it should be a what? Singular verb. The teacher, which is what? Is arriving what? Soon, not are. Arriving soon. A number of or the number of a number of students takes what? Plural. A number of students. Please take notes. A number of students takes what? Plural. However, the number of students always take on what? Singular, because the number is what represents what? Singular statistic. Why a number of students what is regarded as what? Plural. Okay, let's see. Thank you, Tofumi. Tofumi is always participating. Yeah. Tofumi, Deborah, I cite you, I recognize you. You have really actively been involved in our lesson. As well as other that I did mention. Yeah, always be actively involved. It's very good for you. Okay, let's look at a practical question. Choose the options that best complete the sentence. Each of the students who won the award dash given a gold medal. Each of the students who won the award. Each is regarded as what? Singular. So that would what? Attract a singular verb. So each of the students who won the award was. So do not fall for the plural modifiers. Students. Some students will like each of the students in it now. Students is plural. Please don't fall for that. Pay attention to the indefinite, the trigger word there, which is each, and is regarded as what? An indefinite pronoun. So it should have what? A singular word verb. Please always pay attention to that. Let me see. We just have 5 minutes. Let's see if we can cover idiomatic expression foundations. Yeah, it's important that you start learning all these idiom phrases. That's how you can understand. And I always tell you, you shouldn't focus on the literal meaning. Please, every idiomatic expression always have their own in-depth meaning, not the literal meaning. Some people will look at the literal words there. They are just like proverb in Yoruba. We have idiomatic expressions in Yoruba language. They are always used in an informal conversation. That is for speaking, day-to-day conversation. So an idiomatic expression has a figurative meaning that cannot be derived from the literal definitions of its individual words. For example, intentionally craft literal answers to snare unprepared students. Sometimes they intentionally give you the literal options. Please eliminate those options. The ones that goes along with the literal meaning, please eliminate. You want to go with the what? Figurative meaning, the in-depth meaning that we are. Okay, look at these common idioms that are being presented to you in exam. The first one was bury the arches. Some student will look at bury the arches, and it means we should bury what? A physical, a fixable what? Axe inside the what? The soil. No, that is the literal trap. Please, whenever you come across options like this, kindly eliminate them. Elimination means you should cancel them. Please focus on the what? In-depth meaning. So whenever they tell you to bury the arches, it means you should make peace ending a long time dispute when you have a dispute or disagreement with another person. So you should make peace with the person. So that's the figurative meaning. So that's what you're going to choose. Don't choose burying a physical axe inside the soil. No, that's not it. It doesn't represent that. Another one is what? Bite the bullet. When they tell you bite the bullet, the literal word meaning there is what? Chewing on every what? Lead ammunition. So that's not the answer. The figurative meaning it means facing what? A painful situation with courage. That's the figurative meaning. That's what you're going to choose. Spill the beans. Spill the beans. Spill the beans doesn't mean that you should what? Be tipping over a physical bucket of what? Legumes. No. It's what? The figurative meaning is unintentionally revealing a closely guarded secret. So the people that they call them olofofo, olofofo. People that spill the beans in Yoruba land, they call them olofofo, gbegboro. So you don't want to be the bean spiller in your peer group. Yeah. So whenever you hear something like spill the beans, please don't choose question options that means what? Um, gbegboro. Thank you, Salami. Okay, we just have few minutes. Many idioms change slightly depending on historical origins. Pay special attention to standard collocation, minor alter or, or alterations, e.g., spill the beans instead of okay, spill beans instead of spill the beans. Yeah, always pay attention to that. So trap to watch out for. If the prompt says it threw cold water on our plant, the option will contain sentence about what actual water or cooling system. Please always eliminate all those options. Always eliminate options that contains literal physical nouns. Yeah. Eliminating something like it always give you the best opportunity to choose the correct answer because you are very, very sure and certain that all those eliminated options are incorrect. Strategy trick. When checking an idiom answer, if the options has physical objects related to the idiom's words, please, it's almost certainly a distraction trap to pay attention to. So I think in the next lesson, I'm going to possibly I'll give you 1 hour tomorrow to continue this lesson because obviously I'm not supposed to really go in depth, but I'm trying to make people that missed the lesson to catch up. So after this lesson, I'll drop a practice mock test comprising of all these topics for you to practice. That way you can and start tackling them and smashing them appropriately and accurately. And I'm really confident in you guys that you're going to do the best. If you have any question, please do not hesitate to drop them in the chat box.